Morning, everyone. We are Sunday morning live. I wake the fuck up because I forgot the name of the show, actually. We are going to give you the start and sit questions that you are so desperately in need of. We're going to do a segment every Sunday called Love Him or Leave Him, where we have one player that we think that you should play and one player we think that you should just leave. And it's just for that week. So don't get all, crazy about it, because it's just for that week. It's just the stats for that week. We are currently, although I have Hamid, who, can pretty much take over for those other two, missing two people who will be here momentarily. Gerson, who is in Vegas, so I'm not even going to promise he's going to be here momentarily because he's in Vegas celebrating something, and we know how G rolls. And then Evan, who is taking care of personal business, and he will be on as soon as he finishes. But welcome back, Hamid.
I know. Yes, it feels like it's been more than a year, but wow, time flies. Let's do this. Sunday football week 1 is here.
This is so much fun. I'm so glad that you're back. All right. So what do you want to do first? Do you want to do your love them and leave them?
Let's do it.
All right. My love them is Jaylen Hurt, the quarterback for Philadelphia, because he's going against Atlanta, and I think he's going to get points with his legs. So if you have a quarterback who is in a really bad matchup, which would be my leave him, Justin Herbert, I would play Jaylen Hurts. Those are my love him or leave him. Atlanta gave up one of the most touchdowns they gave up 45 touchdowns to the quarterback last year, and or 34 passing touchdowns to the quarterback, and then 200 and something yards, 239 yards through the air. Hurts is fully capable of not only throwing touchdowns, passes, because according to Fantasy Pros, their wide receiving core has the easiest schedule. So I would go with Jaylen Hurts this year. Hey, G, you are here, but we can't see you. We only have half your face. I have half your face. The screen, we have none
of his face. Oh, there he is.
There we are. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, G, is here. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, no. Okay. We're having technical difficulties with G, but I'm going to blame that on Vegas. There you go. And Hamid, who do you have for your love them and leave them?
Yeah. So and also the Falcons also gave up the 8th most rushing yards to the quarterback position and 6 touchdowns. So Hurts is definitely a must start. So I 100% agree with that. My love has to be, and this is this is a no-brainer for me, Raheem Mostert. He's also pretty cheap on FanDuel as well. He's only going for about 6,300 on FanDuel. So he's someone I would consider starting in FanDuel as well this week, because last year the Detroit Lions gave up the most fantasy points to the running back position. The Niners defense happens to be also a top 10 defense. So I don't expect the Lions to really score a whole lot in this game. I expect this game to be a blowout. I think the Niners do cover the spread quite comfortably. They're favored by 9. I think they cover that. And I think Trey Sermon is also very startable here. But yeah, give me Raheem Mostert in Redraft. Give me Raheem Mostert in FanDuel and in DraftKings. I think he is a must start across the board, and it would not surprise me at all if Trey Sermon and Raheem Mostert both are RB2s this week. Yep.
Nice. Hey, so Facebook user, which I'm hoping is not her name, wants to know Trevor Lawrence or Jaylen Hurts today. Ooh, both of them have really good matchups. Go.
Both have great matchups, but the problem here, though, is with Trevor Lawrence is, 1, it's his first game, and 2, this game is not expected to be a very high scoring. I don't expect the Houston Texans to be able to score a ton of points, nor do I expect the Jaguars to score like 30 points in this game. Unless this game becomes high scoring, I don't think Trevor Lawrence returns that ceiling that Hurts has this week against the Falcons, which the Falcons should be able to score a ton of points against the Eagles, and vice versa back with the Eagles. So for me, it's Hurts over Lawrence.
G, are you with us? Nope. No, I agree with you. I think it's Hurts over Lawrence. I think that Urban Meyer's going to pull a crazy one and go run. I would play James Robinson in that game for sure all day long. But I would go Jalen Hurts over Trevor Lawrence this week for sure. Facebook user who, I guess their symbol's hot now, so they're hot. I think that who is your leave 'em? I agree with them.
It's funny. My leave happened. There was a ton I could have chose from here, but my leave happens to be from the same game. It's DeAndre Swift. Not only is Swift coming off the groin injury that he's missed so much time from training camp and preseason, but now he's going up against a Niners defense that's one of the best in the league against the run. So it's really hard for me to trust DeAndre Swift this week. And also, he's going to be on a bad offense. Keep in mind the amount of time he's missed. He may not be acclimated to the new offense that they actually have in place. And given that I'm expecting them to lose big, I expect Williams to be a little bit more involved as well in the passing game. So not only is Swift going to be, I think, limited from a touches standpoint, but I also think from a PPR standpoint, he's even going to be less limited than Williams this week. So that I would, if I'm a Swift owner, I am not starting him unless you don't have any better flex option. I'm only talking about starting running backs. I'm strictly talking flex here.
Hi,
you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, we hear you.
Are you there for the game?
No. What?
Are you going to the game? Are you going to the game?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I don't know how much of him mentally is going to be there, but he'll be there.
How long have you been in Vegas?
Since Thursday or Friday? Yeah, Thursday. No, no, I'm not gonna drink on Monday because I have to work on Tuesday, so I have to pace myself, and I have to. Honestly, I'm just getting old. I get heartburn now.
All right, G. So the first question, which we answered, but what is your answer? Trevor Lawrence or Jaylen Hurts today?
Is this for DFS or fantasy?
Fantasy.
Jaylen Hurt.
Would you play Trevor Lawrence over Hurts in DFS?
I was just going to ask the same question.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
I'd play Jaylen Hurt.
Okay, and then the second question. Hi, Evan.
Oh, how's it going, guys? Sorry, technical difficulty.
It's the first Sunday. We're good. The second question: Jerry Judy or Corey Davis? Let's start with G. Who do you have? Fantasy.
Ooh, I'd probably say Corey Davis.
Really?
Yeah, because he's gonna get more. I don't know. That's a pretty close one, so you really can't go wrong. But I go Corey Davis.
And Evan, who do you have? Jerry Judy or Corey Davis?
At least for week one, I think that Corey Davis is going to get peppered in targets, especially with Jameis and Crowder out. So I'm going Corey Davis this week.
Yep.
And Hammond.
Yeah, that's really close. Unfortunately, the Broncos are away. They're on the road against the Giants, who actually allowed only 13 receiving touchdowns last year. That was fourth fewest in the league. I don't think this is the week to start Judy over Corey Davis, who, like Evan just said, is, I think, going to pepper a target. And don't sleep on Elijah Moore. So for me, Corey Davis over Judy.
All right, and Facebook user has Corey Davis too. Hey, G, we have done our Ricky Blasey for defense, Jags or Carolina?
Jags or Carolina?
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's actually a great question. I'd probably go Carolina there, but that's really I'll probably not by much, but I'd probably go Carolina.
I don't know. I don't see the Jaguars are facing the Houston Texans, and the Carolina Panthers are facing the rookie quarterback and Zach Wilson. So, I mean, it's really a toss-up, but I think the one that can produce more turnovers for the defense is definitely the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I think, with Carolina, going up against the rookie, he's probably more prone to making mistakes compared to Tyrod Taylor, who we know is notoriously safe with the ball. So if you're looking to get turnovers, I think Carolina has the better chance.
I agree, maybe. I don't know. I think it's really close.
Yeah.
Because I think the Texans are a shit show. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
What's up?
Can I ask you real quick about Judy and Corey Davis? You seem like you disagree. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about it.
On Jerry Judy and Corey Davis?
Yeah.
I think that the Broncos are going to be playing Teddy Bridgewater's safe ball, and that means that Jerry Judy's going to get a lot of targets over Cortland Sutton. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's really close, but in that the New York, I would go Elijah Moore before I went Corey Davis, and I would go Jerry Judy over Corey Davis in that case. I just think that Jerry Judy was the best choice. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater was the best choice for Jerry Judy, and so if he has to throw, it's going to be to Judy. G, you love him or leave him? Do you have it or no?
Oh, I didn't know. I was part of that. I thought I was just a DFS guy. Sorry.
No, you can do love him or leave him DFS. I don't care.
Oh, okay. Oh, so like, do I have to name all my plays right now, or what do you want me to do?
Just one player that you absolutely think everyone should have in their lineup on DFS. One player.
Oh, one player. I mean, the one player I'm probably going to have the heaviest exposure to is going to be Ryan Tannehill versus the Arizona Cardinals on at the quarterback position. And then the one player I'm not going to have a lot of exposure to that probably everybody else is going to have exposure to is probably going to be Jaylen Hurt. And that hurts me to say it. It's just to me it's more has to do with the ownership because it's almost a 10%, and it's like touching Patrick Mahomes ownership, and I don't see him throwing like 4 touchdowns, 300 yards. I'm looking for ceiling in my GPP, and my quarterbacks are pretty simple.
Nice. I didn't know Jalen Hurts' ownership got that high in DFS then. It's that high already?
Yeah, he's owned pretty highly right now.
Okay. I'm going to have to go change my DFS stuff. Josh Dorazzo wants to know Odell or Chark. I would not, personally, I would not touch Odell in the first game. But so DJ Chark by default. But no? Gee, what do you got?
I'm touching Odell in that game environment. It's going to be a really high-scoring game. To me, we've seen this game before, so, like, OBJ, I think he's fine. He's healthy. He's ready to go. I mean, I don't know. I think nowadays, like, teams are putting players on the injury list more now because they don't want to get fined. It's not because they're hurt or they're just – the NFL last year fined a lot of teams for that. And I think they're just – any little nagging injury, they'll report it.
So you're going Odell. What do you got, Hamid?
Do you know how many times Odell Beckham Jr. has been tackled in training camp or in a preseason game? Oh, wait. He has to play a preseason game to get tackled, first of all. In training camp, he's been tackled 0 times. That's according to the reporters who are actually watching the training camp and following it. My biggest concern here, I don't think Odell Beckham gets a full allotment of snaps. Not only that, he's going up a Chiefs defense that was ranked, that allowed the 4th fewest fantasy points to the wide receiver position last year, and 7th fewest passing touchdowns to the wide receiver. Receiving touchdowns to the wide receiver. I hate to say this, but I'm going Chark, even though I think this game's going to be high scoring. I don't think it's going to be going through Odell. I'll take Chark, but it's really close, and it's risky either way.
Evan, what do you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely risky either way. If we're talking redraft or are we talking DFS, for DFS, I'd probably take my chances on Odell. I think Chark may be the safer play in lineups. But, with Odell's upside, it's always hard to fade him, especially in week 1 if he's healthy. It's going to be a shootout there in Kansas City. So we could see Odell go off for a big game. I think in Jacksonville, Chenault is the receiver to own for me.
Yeah, the best season, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a quick question for anyone. Is Honey Badger playing today? Did he get off the COVID list?
Who?
Tyrann Mathieu.
Tyrann Mathieu was on the list.
I don't know.
That would make a big difference to me in that secondary if Tyrann Mathieu's playing or not.
Oh, Tyrann Mathieu, he got cleared. He got cleared last night.
He got cleared? Okay.
Let me confirm that for you, but I'm pretty sure he got cleared last night.
That could make a big difference.
Tyrann Mathieu's activated.
He is active?
He is active.
Okay.
He's activated off from the COVID list, so I suspect he will play.
Okay. Hey, Yeti. Nice to see you too, buddy.
13 minutes ago, we had an update from no, that was actually 13 hours ago. They just said it'll be approximately 90 minutes before the game that we'll know absolutely whether or not he plays.
Okay.
Which should be the next 14 minutes.
Right. Exactly. So
I mean, I think they do this. The NFL does like basically in 15 minutes every week at this time in 15 minutes. they release all the fit and inactive players.
Yep.
And then that's where you get your list. So if anybody's watching this show, make sure you follow Twitter and you just go put in inactive or active, and you'll find out all the players that are not playing and they are.
Or we'll just announce it here in 13 minutes.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, Evan, I don't think we did your love him or leave him. Did we? No.
No. I was having technical difficulty, so sorry about that.
We're all Cowboys fans, so.
Yeah. So I went with a couple prop bets I love for week 1. Just a couple quick ones real quick. Damian Harris at plus 105 for anytime touchdown. I love that this week. Also, Tyson Williams, which before the Gus Edwards injury, he was at plus 1,800 just anytime touchdown, but he's only dropped down to plus 290. So I'd still put a little scratch on that. Yeah.
That's it.
That's a good one.
Wow.
Yeah, so I really like that. And then my two favorites that I put money down on are Naji Harris over 62.5 rushing yards at minus 125. I mean, we all know he's going to get as much volume as he can handle. Benny Snell's the backup there, so I don't see Naji coming off the field too much. And, you know, last year Buffalo ranked the bottom half in the league, allowing 4.6 yards a rushing attempt. So I don't see it surprising for Naji to get 20 plus touches and have a huge week, NFL debut in week 1. So yeah, 62.5 rushing yards. I'll take that all day. And then the next one is going to be Marquez Callaway over 45.5 receiving yards. I mean, the options are just limited for Jameis Winston there. I mean, especially with the Michael Thomas injury. We know Kamara is going to get a ridiculous workloads. In terms of passing, though, I think the guy is Callaway, and we know that Winston's going to let it fly. And we've seen that connection kind of, take off already in the preseason when he threw to him for 2 touchdowns, which were both over 25 yards. So I don't see it, hard for Callaway to get over that 45.5 receiving yards, and it could happen in one play, honestly, we know how Jameis Winston likes to throw it deep. So, yeah, those are my loves as far as prop bets go for week 1.
Nice. I like the Marquez one, actually. Ricky Blasey wants to know, what tight end should he start, Gesicki or Gerald Everett? Hamed.
Wow. That is as close to a toss-up as it gets. He was pretty good in training camp. There's not been a whole lot of buzz about Gesicki. He hasn't really flashed a whole lot. Tua hasn't targeted him as much in training camp either. But as much as I hate to say it, I think if there's one place where the Patriots defense is susceptible, it is the tight end position. So I'm going to go with Gesicki here, but that's really close.
G, what do you got? Gesicki or Everett?
Oh, if you watch my what is it called, tight end show, and then if you watch my basically any show I did for tight end, I said that Gerald Everett this year. And when I'm saying, I don't mean like he's gonna produce like them. I'm just saying like every year we have this kind of type of tight end that breaks out, and he this year Dan Waller, Gerald Everett, the guy that I'm gonna go for. I think he's a very athletic tight end. They brought him over from the Rams offense. The assistant coach is also what is it called? The new offensive coordinator for them. So for the Seattle Seahawks, and I think Gerald Everett can have a big game. He's one of my favorite values in DFS too for tight end.
Evan.
Yeah, I do like Gerald Everett going forward. I mean, where you could get him in drafts, he was basically free. So I did take a couple of shots on him. I'll have him in a few leagues. But I think with Will Fuller out, that leaves some targets available out there in Miami. So I think Gesicki is probably has the safer floor this week because we know that Everett's not going to be the first look for Russell Wilson. He's going to throw it, to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett primarily. So, yeah, like I said, with Will Fuller out for week 1, serving his suspension time, I think that opens up some available targets for Gesicki, a little more than will be moving forward. So, at least for week 1, I'm going to go Gesicki.
And Gladys, one quick thing if I can put up here. The funny thing is how much of a toss-up this one is. The Colts allowed the third fewest fantasy points last year to the tight end position. The Patriots, the 5th fewest. So these are two really good defense against the tight end. So, and that's with the Patriots last year missing a lot of defensive players.
Wait, who did you pick, Helen? You said
I
Everett.
did say Gesicki. No, I said Gesicki.
You said Gesicki?
I said
Okay.
Gesicki.
All right, let's do so G, your DFS. Your hot picks on DFS. Or
So
your
for
picks, whatever.
yeah, for quarterback, I'm doing 5 quarterbacks like I always do. My favorite quarterback is I'm targeting game stacks basically. Josh Allen is the only quarterback that is not in a game stack. Josh Allen is my number 1 quarterback. Number 2 is gonna be Kyler Murray. Number 3, Patrick Mahomes. 4, Ryan Tannehill, and 5, Baker Mayfield. So those are the quarterbacks I'm gonna be really targeting heavily. At the running back position, TMC is obviously a great player. He's always going to be a player every week. But Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Antonio Gibson, Joe Mixon, some of the mid-value running backs are definitely James Robinson, Naji Harris, and then a really, really cheap guy that I like this week is Damian Harris and Javonte Williams. I think Javonte Williams might get a little bit more workload than people expect. I definitely like that. And one guy that I'm fading at running back, not fading, but just don't have a lot of exposure to him, is Mike Davis. I don't really think Mike Davis is as good as everybody hyped him up to be in the offseason, or if you got him at value and redraft, all that stuff. Cool. You got him for like a couple of weeks because he's going to get hurt sooner or later. And then at the wide receiver position, pretty much all the wide receivers and all the quarterbacks that I mentioned is stacked with him. But my favorite value ones is Elijah Moore is my favorite value. He's at 3,000. I'm going to be having a lot of exposure to him. Of course, he's a good pivot towards Marquez Callaway, who's the highest owned wide receiver right now at 22%. Marvin Jones, and then the stud that I'm targeting for wide receiver is DeAndre Hopkins. I love Hopkins and Calvin Ridley. Some of the mid-tier guys I like is T. Higgins, Devontae Smith, Corey Davis, and Judy. And then at the tight end position, I'm paying down. And the one guy I love the most this week for pay down, he's 2,500, is Tyler Croft, plays for the New York Jets. He got 2 touchdowns in the preseason, and they traded away Chris Herndon. So I think he's going to have some good upside for a $2,500 tight end, and it allows you to pay up for everything. Kyle Pitts and Logan Thomas, Gerald Everett. I haven't gotten the news on Adam Troutman if he's going to play or not. And if he plays and he's 2,900, I'm going to put him in a lot of rosters, but I'm waiting for that news. Maybe someone can look it up. But, yeah, I mean, those are the guys. Obviously, Travis Kelce, George Kittle are play. But I usually, if it makes sense, I'll play them. But if it doesn't, I usually don't like to pay up for them. The defense that I'm going to have a lot of exposure to is that Falcons defense is 16% ownership, $2,000. I don't pay up for defense. I usually like just to throw in my roster with my studs and my wide receiver and my stack. The second defense that I'm targeting is the Bills defense at 2,500, and then the Broncos defense 3,300. And I think the highest projected defense I have is the Dolphins versus Miami, but I like to target turnover quarterbacks and basically cheap price defense. Those are my plays today.
Gee, I have a quick DFS question for you.
Yeah, so do I, Gladys, after you're done, if you don't mind.
No, not at all. Did you only have 2 rookies, like Pitts and Moore were the only 2 rookies that you're paying for on DFS?
And Naji Harris.
You're not going Jamar Chase? You're not going Waddle?
I'll have exposure to them. Like I tell you, I play over 300 rosters, so
yeah.
I'll have exposure to all the players. But if I were to name all the players on this show, would be.
I asked the question wrong. So, do you think Chase will have a good day today, or would you go T. Higgins over Chase all the time today?
Yeah, I'd go T. Higgins. T. Higgins is my favorite out of all those wide receivers in the Bengals offense right now.
Okay. Good. Evan.
Adam Troutman is expected to play. Keep an eye out for that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so G, I was wondering how you feel about the Sam Darnold to Robbie Anderson stack in a GPP.
I love it. He didn't make my list, and the reason why he didn't make my list was because of the volume. I usually like to target quarterback with high volume. And if you notice something about all the quarterbacks I listed, only Baker Mayfield is not really a Konami code quarterback, you know. But I usually like my quarterback to have rushing upside. But I think Sam Darnold with Terrence Marshall, not Terrence, Terrace Marshall, DJ Moore, even CMC, you know, and bring it back on the opposite side, which he has an excellent bring back in that game. It was who was I targeting the most? Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Elijah Moore for sure. I mean, it just to me it's volume. Volume is king. And if he's not gonna pass the ball 35, 40 times, then really hard for me to play him. But I like to play.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in a GPP, you know, because you got to try to get contrarian somehow.
Yeah.
I also love Raheem Mostert with his matchup. He's not too highly owned at the moment. I only have him at like just over 10%. But I also think, you know, if they're obviously going to be up big, I would expect in this game. So maybe they try to get Trey Sermon a little bit more run than, you know, people think.
Yeah, Trey Sermon season, baby.
Yeah, so I think it's a good pivot. And then at tight end, I mean, I love Pitts. I'm obviously going to have exposure to him. He's up already at like 25% though. So, I mean, because of his price tag, obviously. But a play I like, you know, only around 3% is Jonnu Smith at 4,100.
Oh wow, I didn't see that one. I can see why though. I mean, rookie quarterback. I'm targeting his tight end.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, why is percent so low? Yeah, but yeah, definitely. I think I'm with you on, you know, some of the stacks you had, especially the freaking Cardinals game with the Titans.
Oh, yeah.
I mean that game is going to be a DFS just freaking gold.
I'm just excited football back, man. Like I just got goosebumps. You know, like I'm thinking like some of these games, like Gladys and Hamid, and last year they saw that I was always talking about game stack, and some of the games that really excite me is like the Arizona Tennessee game, or the Philadelphia Atlanta game, Pittsburgh Buffalo, and then
Browns,
of course
Chiefs.
Kansas City Browns. That's like up there. I'm excited. In case you guys can't see, I'm at a casino. But we're over there, but it's too loud for me to be in there right now for you guys. So,
thanks.
You know, G, I'm really surprised you've gone this long without saying the word Julio. Well, the name Julio.
I know. I love Julio. You guys know that. And like right now, I can't scream.
Yeah, for those who don't know, last year Gerson was an every week Julio like hype man.
Yeah.
He's also a big JT fan.
Yeah. But no, like this week for DFS is gonna be so much fun because week one is always value galore. You can find so much value,
Absolutely.
and it's be about you playing the right value with the right stack. And like I think I said, my first wide receiver that I said were all value. I mean, Marquez Callaway. People are playing on Marvin Jones. I love the Marvin Jones call, but for me, I want it's just my stack, and I'm not really stacking Marvin Jones with Trevor Lawrence, so I'm good.
Like you said, Elijah Moore at 3K is just unreal value.
Oh yeah.
But isn't CMC like super high? So he's not a value play, right? Isn't CMC like 96 or something on DraftKings?
Well, no, I'm for wide receiver. CMC is 9,500. So for wide receiver, there's like Marquez Callaway, Elijah Moore, Marvin Jones, Rondell Moore, who's 3,000, and then Travis Marshall Jr. Like that guy is 3,000 too. So like if I went and clicked on my value tab, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the first 10 guys are like, and in those 10 are rookie wide receivers. That I think you have to jump. I always say get ahead of the curve. You know, don't wait till they break out. You know, so yeah, those are the guys I like.
The ownership for the site I use, ownership was updated at 10:45 a.m. and Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara are both at 20.66% as the two highest owned running backs.
Yeah, right now I have about 40%, no, 26% McCaffrey, And then my highest owned players at each position, obviously quarterback split. At running back, it's Christian McCaffrey, Antonio Gibson, Kamara, Dalvin Cook. At wide receiver, it's Hopkins, Marquez Callaway, Tyreek Hill, and Elijah Moore. Tight end, one of the guys I didn't mention was Anthony Firkser for the Tennessee Titans. He's actually my highest value owned tight end. And then you mix in those guys like Travis Kelce, Kyle Pitt, and those other Tyler Croft. But
can I go over a lineup with you real quick and tell me your thoughts?
Hey guys, just real quick, Zach Moss has been declared inactive.
Who's inactive?
Zach Moss is inactive. Yes.
Oh wow, Devin Singletary.
That's a little surprising. I did not see that coming.
I'm thinking more Josh Allen, not Devin Singletary.
Yeah. I'm still not touching Devin. For those listening, I personally am not touching Devin Singletary in DFS. He does become a little bit more of a flex option for you. Before he was probably a bench player for you, but he does become a little more intriguing of a flex player if you're desperate. Otherwise, I keep him on the bench.
True.
Okay.
Evan, what's your lineup?
Yeah, so this is a large field GPP. We got Sam Darnold, Christian McCaffrey, Raheem Mostert, Robbie Anderson. So I have that Carolina stack in there. Then my other receivers are Laviska and Devontae Smith, Travis Kelce at tight end, Michael Pittman at flex, and then the Falcons D.
I don't mind it. I like it. One thing you need to do when you stack, make sure you correlate it back and bring it back with one of the wide receivers on the opposite side.
Same game.
Yeah, because in a GPP, you reach the ceiling. If you believe that quarterback and those wide receivers are going to do good, then you should also believe that whoever they're playing on the opposite side, they're going to produce points too. So if you want, you bring it back with Elijah Moore, and I think
let's go, baby! It's week one. Let's go.
What's up, man?
You can bring it back, and I think you can upgrade running back. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm not a big Mostert fan, so that's just me.
Okay.
There's other running backs that provide better value, but
I like it.
But all right, guys, I gotta get out of this. Good seeing you guys, Hamid. Welcome back. I'm glad to have you, man, on the show. It's gonna be a good season, but I got to start making rosters, and I'm gonna start. So
300 rosters, baby.
All right, bud. Good luck.
See you. Good luck.
Peace out.
Hey guys, something to keep in mind: Zach Moss is a healthy scratch. He is not injured. Oh wow! And Trey Sermon is a surprising inactive.
What?
Wow,
what?
This is very. I don't know why he is inactive.
Well, I'm not taking Raheem Mostert out of my lineup now.
Yeah, so I think Raheem Mostert is a now lock must start for you in DFS. And of course, if you have him on your roster, you start him. But this is a very huge surprise. There was no injury allocation to him, but he is inactive. And also, Zach Moss is a healthy scratch this week. So keep that. I'm shocked by that. I did not see this coming at all. Wow.
The Trey Sermon, no. I mean, I don't know if Zach Moss makes a difference because no one's really counting on Buffalo Bills running game, but the Trey Sermon is huge because
he was not on the injury report, so he's healthy. There's no indication whatsoever why he's inactive today.
Yeah, no. Mike Clay tweeted and just said he's just a healthy scratch.
That's
wow.
So adjust your DFS lineups accordingly because I'm pretty sure he was pretty high on. Evan, do you have the stats of the top two highest owned in each category on DFS, like the top two highest owned quarterbacks, top two highest owned wide receivers? Can you give those to us?
Absolutely. So at quarterback, and like I said, this was last updated at 10:45. So things do tend to change. Patrick Mahomes at almost 15%, followed by Josh Allen at 13.9% are the two highest owned quarterbacks at the moment.
Okay.
Going to running back, it's going to be, like I said earlier, Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara tied at 20.66. And then moving down to wide receiver, we have Marquez Callaway and Michael Pittman at Callaway, and this is, most likely they're going to be the ones on their team. Plus, they have, decent salaries. Marquez Callaway is only at 3,400. I mean, I can see why everyone loves him today. But he's at 26.8 22.08%, and Michael Pittman's at 22.08%. Followed by, then you start hitting the Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs run.
Okay.
But yeah. Then at tight end, Kyle Pitts is, just blowing everyone out of the water at 24.86%, with carrying only $4,400 price tag. Followed by Travis Kelce, which is almost half of Kyle Pitts' ownership. So to me
That's
personally,
ridiculous.
yeah, for me, I'm not touching Kyle Pitts today. I'm absolutely fading him. And if he ends up having one of those rookie games that, I kind of expect him to, I mean, he's going to see some volume, and it's not hard for him to pay off a $4,400 price tag. But if for some reason he doesn't have a great game, then you gain so much leverage on the field that, to me, he's just an obvious fade.
Kyle Pitts? Is that
in DFS? Yes, because
DFS?
if he ends up, I mean, obviously, like I said, I'll have exposure to him. I don't mean a complete fade, but I'm going to be fading him wherever I can because, like I said, at that high ownership, if for some reason, he doesn't have the game everyone thinks, that is tremendous leverage on the field.
Agreed.
All right. Matt said he loves the updates, Hamid, on the injury start, scratch. That should always be in the show. Just a thought. Hi, Matt. Welcome back.
Hey, Matt. Yeah.
I mean, especially the healthy scratches. For a game, for week one game, is that unusual? That's kind of unusual, right? To have.
Not just that, he was not on the injury report at all. He was practicing throughout the week. There was no indicator whatsoever that he was going to be inactive. So whatever the reason this is either something to do with something he did wrong and he's being punished for it, or he made it. But and it's not COVID related because everyone at 10 o'clock a report comes out from the league that the COVID report comes out who's tested positive, tested negative. The entire league tested negative, so there's nothing COVID related here. My only guess, which is logical here, is either he tweaked something right before the game, or it's a punishment due to something he did wrong. He is a healthy scratch, though, so it's not injury. I am extremely shocked. I cannot wait to find out what the reason is.
And
it can't be good, though.
Trey Sermon being a rookie, you would think, especially with an easy matchup, you would think you want to get him some touches and build his confidence and let him see that game action. It's just mind-boggling why you wouldn't want Trey Sermon in the game, especially Raheem Mostert, his injury history. You would think you'd like Trey Sermon there not only to get him some touches, but maybe to take some of that workload off Mostert in an easy matchup.
Can I add one more thing? Sorry, guys.
Yeah, go ahead. No,
I was going to say, if he should be available, Elijah Mitchell, I would highly recommend, if you have the bench space, I would go and pick him up because he's next on the depth chart. He is a rookie that was drafted this season by the Niners. He's a very talented player as well. This was a great team for him to land on. It fits his skill set very well. I would highly recommend go pick up Elijah Mitchell as a stash and wait and see what happens and when we find out what actually happened with Trey Sermon.
I was going to ask, in that game, do you think that it's better for Trey Lance? Do you think that means he has more packages that he's going to take Garoppolo, put Lance in? Because he did crazy stuff during pre.
I think all along they've had they would had a package together for Lance. So I definitely think he was going to get in regardless. But I'm just boggled over just this healthy scratch of Trey Sermon. I just don't understand it.
Hamid, on DFS side, what games are you concentrating on?
From a DFS standpoint, so there's a few games I'm concentrating on here. Of course, the Chiefs and Browns games, I don't have a whole lot of exposure to it, but I do have Nick Chubb heavily in my lineups. Also, Kareem Hunt is another player I do like a ton. Surprisingly, a lot of people are not talking about James Robinson. He's only costing $5,900. He's really cheap, and he's going up against one of the most favorable defenses against the run coming off of last year and going off the strength of schedule of this year with the players they have, according to PFF. According to PFF, this is 32nd ranked defense against the run that Robinson is going up against. So I'm a little surprised that his ownership is as low as it is. Another one is the Panthers game. It's gonna be the Jets-Panthers game is gonna be one of those exciting games where I think the score may not be close, but from a fantasy perspective, there's a ton to have here. Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, the two guys from the Jets, and someone to keep an eye. I'm very curious to see how Mike Carter does in that game. And then on the other side of the ball, of course, I'm very curious how Sam Darnold with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, how he works. He's never had weapons like this. But from a DFS standpoint, though, Robbie Anderson, I am pushing the button on Robbie Anderson a ton this week. DJ Moore skill set does not fit what Sam Darnold does well. So give me Robbie Anderson, who I also have a ton of.
Matt wants to know, do you think Ayuk or Deebo Samuel will be the top 49ers wide receiver target?
Oh,
Evan?
So I think it's going to be Ayuk. I really like Ayuk. PFF has this wide receiver cornerback matchup as number one in week 1. Detroit has 5 cornerbacks on their roster, 3 of which are making their NFL debut. So the inexperience there is going to allow Deebo and Ayuk to just go off. I'm getting all the 49er exposure I can. I do think it's Ayuk. Last year we didn't see them, Jeff Okudah, shadow the number 1 too often. He usually stayed on one side of the field. If for some reason they were to change that up, I think Deebo and Ayuk could both have a good game. Whoever Jeff Okudah's on, they target the other receiver. But for me, with the inexperience, the cornerback wide receiver matchup is just unreal. I think Ayuk's going to have a great game. And also another cool little stat I was looking over is Ayuk's had at least one explosive play in his last 7 games. And I think this matchup is just bodes well for him to have a few more explosive plays this game. So, yeah, start all your 49ers.
Who do you have, Hammond, between the two?
It's really close. Ayuk's coming off a hamstring injury that he's faced throughout training camp and the preseason. I'm going to go Deebo here. I think Ayuk's going to be slowly worked in. Hamstring injuries, soft tissue injuries are a little fragile, and given his skill set, his speed, I don't think he's going to be utilized heavily. I think he'll be on a limited snap share here. Give me Deebo over Ayuk, but this is really close. Just because I expect the Niners to win very comfortably, not pass a whole lot.
And he wants to know, in the Minnesota Vikings game, Jefferson or Thielen? Quarterback matchup.
Yeah. From a redraft and season long standpoint, get Jefferson in your lineups. I think he's definitely going to be the target hog there. But with the Irv Smith injury, Adam Thielen, everyone has him in line for some red zone regression and some touchdown regression, which I think slightly. But with the Irv Smith injury, I think people are kind of overlooking Adam Thielen this year. I like playing him in DFS this week too, because I definitely think when the Vikings get in the red zone, if they're throwing the ball, then Adam Thielen is definitely going to be a big red zone threat. So, but Jefferson for me as far as season long goes.
Hammond?
Jefferson, I think you start no matter what, but I do understand the concerns, of course, with the coverage matchups here. Mike Hilton, the cornerback for the Bengals, is expected to go up against Thielen. I'm not overly concerned. I think Thielen against Mike Hilton here, or anyone else from the Bengals, from a defensive standpoint, I think they're both startable. Jefferson, of course, with the higher ceiling. I do think they both score touchdowns in this game. I think this game will be high scoring. So they're both very startable. Jefferson, of course, is starting. Thielen, I can understand some question marks, but I'm still starting Thielen as well. If you have them both, I don't know why you have them both. Trade Thielen or Jefferson. Trade Thielen ideally. But this is just a DFS question. Of course, I'm taking Thielen for the value. Jefferson, if you really want to go for that ceiling.
Am I missing something? Is the Bengals, their defense their secondary isn't that great, right?
No, it's not very good at all.
So
one of the worst in the league last year.
Okay.
PFF has the matchup, the wide receiver cornerback matchup on their chart as the 6th best on today's slate. So
the Vikings versus Cincinnati?
Yeah, versus all their defenders. Yep.
Who's the first best?
That is Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel versus the Detroit Lions.
Anyway, Really quick here, Emmanuel Sanders, Eckler, and Quentin Nelson all expected to be active or are active. So they're all playing.
Sanders, Eckler, and who's the third one?
Quentin Nelson.
Okay.
They're all active.
That's big for that's big. Yeah.
The Quentin Nelson or Sanders?
Yeah, Quentin Nelson. I wasn't. Yeah, I was expecting him to maybe sit, but yeah, that's good.
All right. I want on your cornerback wide receiver matchups. Let's the top 5 from DFS standpoint.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear that.
So we're looking at Brandon Ayuk versus Detroit, Terry McLaurin versus the Chargers, Julio Jones against Arizona, and then the Carolina receivers versus the Jets, and then the Chiefs at Cleveland.
I'm really surprised by what was the second one?
That's Terry McLaurin versus the Chargers. They have him as a 88.4, an excellent matchup. They have Brandon Ayuk and Debo at against the Lions as a 95. So
that really surprises me, not from the Terry McLaurin standpoint, but the Chargers defense is pretty stout. I mean, their secondary, they lost what's his face, but he didn't do anything last year anyway. And then the Chiefs against Cleveland was in the top 5.
Yep. That is number 5, followed by the Vikings versus the Bengals.
Okay, so here's my question for both of you: the Chiefs versus Cleveland. The Chiefs' offensive line is supposed to be better, but it's the first game. So if the front 7 of Cleveland, which is pretty stout, gets after Mahomes like Tampa Bay did, do you still have that confidence in the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers? Would you still put them in top 5?
I absolutely will, and here's why.
Yeah.
It's really easy, actually. The Browns were 6th in the league in most fantasy points given up to the wide receiver position. So to me, that's pretty easy. And they were also 6th in most touchdowns given up to the wide receiver position as well. So for me, I think it's a no. I'm not concerned. First of all, I'm not concerned about the Chiefs wide receivers. I mean, outside of Hill, I'm not even thinking about any other wide receiver. But from a Hill standpoint, I'm not concerned one bit. If you're starting Hardman for some reason or Robinson, you're really desperate or you're in a 16-man league. But no, I'm not concerned at all. The Chiefs should absolutely eat in this game offensively.
Yeah, I still think you have to play them. I mean, at the end of the day, it is the Chiefs' offense. It's hard to fade them or go against them. I will say, from a betting standpoint, I have laid some money on the Browns at plus 6.5.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a shootout. I mean, the Browns showed last year they can stand toe to toe with the Chiefs. I mean, in the AFC division, what was it? 22-17 they lost. They've shown that they can stand toe to toe with them, and they are a well-rounded team. Plus, we know that the Chiefs' run defense is not the greatest. I think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are going to have big games, and if they can keep that on the ground, keep the ball on the ground, control the tempo, control the game, keep Patrick Mahomes off the field as much as possible and control that game clock, I think this game could be closer than people expect. Ended up being a shootout and giving me almost a touchdown. I decided to lay a little money on that because I think it could definitely happen. The only thing that kind of has, going against that is the Chiefs are at home. But
didn't the Browns, all their acquisitions, free agency, or 90% of their acquisitions for free agency and draft were on that defensive side of the ball, right?
Yep,
like they got a new safety, new cornerback,
exactly.
edge. So, and they played them those guys. So, I'm just surprised that the Chiefs' off wide receivers are that high up, and I'm also surprised that Terry McLaurin is that high. Not because of Terry McLaurin.
I'm very surprised. I agree with that. I'm very surprised by that.
I am too, in the sense that we haven't seen the Fitzpatrick to McLaurin, and all the reports coming out of training camp are that he loves Logan Thomas. So, I guess they're going off of they're obviously going off of previous stats, but still, there is other things that play into it than just the previous statistics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
what are you saying,
look what Fitzpatrick did last year for Preston Williams and Devontae Parker. Now you give him someone like Terry McLaurin, who's better than both of them combined. Yeah. I think the sky's the limit for McLaurin this year. And especially in this matchup, I am not concerned with that matchup. Even though I'm surprised by the grade PFF is giving it, I still am not concerned about this matchup at all. I have him inside my top 12.
Gotcha.
What's the over under in that game?
That is at, I'll give it to you right here in 1 second. We have it at
44.5?
44.5. Yeah, 44.
And
44.5 is what I got it at.
Yeah, so it's going to be, so they're predicting a low-scoring game.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just
that kind of this game kind of ties into. I know you had Herbert on as one of your loves this week, right? I don't think I got to hear.
No, it's one of my leave them.
Oh, you are leaving. Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure. I didn't know. I didn't get to hear that segment. So yeah, I'm actually off of Herbert too.
Yeah, I mean that front seven on Washington's defense is just ridiculous. Chase Young is my long shot defensive player of the year. Of course.
I like that.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's a good
I like
one.
that. I like
Sorry,
that
TJ.
Speaking of that game, have we found out, Hamid, if Brian Bulaga, the right tackle for the Chargers, is he starting?
Brian Bulaga, let's see.
But yeah, another one of my leave-ems is this week is Tua.
Tua?
You know why I really like Tua as a sleeper, as far as this, he is starting. Awesome.
He is.
That bodes well for Herbert, but I still, am leaving him. I like Tua as a sleeper this year. And I absolutely love where you could get him in drafts. He was pretty much, a steal, especially in 2 quarterback leagues. I mean, regardless, he's an extreme value in my opinion. But for week 1, I think I'm going to sit the lefty. I mean, his matchup against the Patriots defense, they only allowed 9 touchdown passes to opposing quarterbacks at home last season.
That's a great stat.
Yeah, and the quarterback only averaged the second fewest fantasy points with 13.1 points per game overall at Gillette Stadium. So I think this week I'm going to fade into it. Yeah,
that's a great stat.
Yeah, so I think I'm fading Tua. Tua and Herbert were my leave-ems for the week.
Especially when you think that the Patriots defense played without some players that opted out that are coming back now. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Hamid, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, though, with the Patriots, even though they're one of the best against the tight ends and they're very good against the quarterback passing, the wide receiver, they're kind of middle of the pack. And this is where I love Jalen Waddle as a great if you want to get value in DFS, Jalen Waddle, I think, is a solid play this week. I think for the value that you're getting him for, he's not going to be catching deep passes. He's going to be catching underneath route and then run after the catches where his skill set is. That's what he's done in college. That's how it's going to translate into the NFL. And I think it's going to help Tua because you have to release the ball pretty quick. I expect that a ton. I can easily see a game where Waddle has a game like 7 receptions for 90 yards and potentially a touchdown.
Yeah, and I don't think the one of the downsides of the Patriots is I don't think they get Gilmore back until week 3.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
All right, so we have like 5 minutes left. So let's start with Evan. What is your most prescient advice for DFS and redraft players for this week? And go.
So I think at least for week 1, as far as redraft goes, don't try to get too cute. Just start your studs, see what happens, and go from there. You get into situations where you're trying to play the matchups and kind of put some studs on your bench and start players that you think has a better matchup, and then you find out that you're losing week 1. Just go ahead, start your studs. Let's collect some data and then go from there. As far as DFS goes, I always press the ownership issue, especially in large field GPPs. Ownership is so key to winning a GPP. You have to find that leverage, like I was talking about fading Kyle Pitts earlier, because if you can fade a higher owned guy, pivot to a lower owned player, and he actually goes off, gaining that leverage on the field is key to winning a GPP. So pay attention to ownership.
And just for like people who are starting to play DFS, where are they going to find the ownership?
So 2 of my biggest ones I like to use Awesemo.com. They're a little bit more on the expensive side, but 1 week season, is a little lesser known site, but all of their ownership projections are free. Their entire site, all their tools, everything, it's kind of their way of getting you into their site. All of their tools behind the paywall are free week 1. So oneweekseason.com. You can get all their tools free for week 1. And it's a really good tool to have. But yeah, those are my two. Like I said, Awesomo's a little bit more on the expensive side. So especially first getting in, you may not want to shell out that type of money for DFS tools. But 1 week season's a little more reasonable. And then, like I said, you can go out and test it out week 1 because everything behind the paywall is free.
Sweet. What do you have for people there, Hamed?
So for week 1, at least for anyone, goes for anyone that's even new to redraft leagues. You drafted your players in the first, second, and third round for a reason because you're starting in week 1. Don't get cheeky about it. There were talks about people saying, "Hey, we should bench Zeke week 1 against the Bucks." Yes. You may have been right. Great.
In hindsight,
yes, you may have been right. The data also actually backed it. It makes sense. But you drafted them for a reason. Week 1, don't get cheeky with things. Just play the players that you know are the best players. Give yourself at least a grace period of 2 weeks. I always say this. The first 2 weeks of your redraft season is where you're going to actually find out what you have in your team. Everyone loves their team once they draft it. But you really know what you have. You get that reality check after 2 weeks because now you know the roles of the players that you have. You know the type of offenses they're on, the type of schedule they're going to be looking at. So just play your top players, and let 2 weeks pass before we start thinking about what type of adjustments to make. And also keep the waiver wire in mind. There are players right now sitting on the waiver wire. They're going to be league winners for you. Tony Jones, if he's on your waiver wire, pick him up. Elijah Mitchell. I don't know why Trey Sermon's inactive, but if he's available, pick him up. I just picked him up while we were doing this show. So that's just the point to make, that there are players available. Tyson Williams. No one talked about him until 2 weeks ago. So there are players league-winning players available on the waiver wire. So don't freak out if you start 0-2. Plenty of time for you to catch up on the waiver wire. Going to DFS, Evan, I think, hit it right on the nail. I was going to say the exact same thing. Find the value. If you start playing all the players that everybody owns, you're really not getting much of an advantage. A great example, I'll leave it at this. Taysom Hill, last year, he was tight end eligible. And there were players that did not still start him, did not realize that and didn't start him. But the players who did, he had a low ownership and he started at tight end and won a ton of people money and weeks. So keep a lookout for those players who are eligible for multiple positions or positions where they're not normally started. Also in DFS, look for the value like Evan said, and you will win your weeks. Don't follow the crowd. You got to find the diamond in the rough, my Aladdin reference, to win in DFS.
Real quick, Savage Mr. T wants to know who's a quarterback everyone is sleeping on.
For me this week, like I've already mentioned one. I'm going to Sam Darnold, especially in large field GPPs. I think we saw that connection between him and Robbie Anderson in New York. That was kind of the one bright spot of that New York offense. So yeah, I mean that's a lower owned play. I'm looking to go at, but also he doesn't have the rushing upside, but Kirk Cousins, I mean, is only 4% owned. He has that Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen with Dalvin Cook. I think against that Bengals D, there's going to be a lot of scoring opportunities. And Kirk Cousins could be a lower owned play that you kind of see rise to the top of leaderboards.
He took my answer. It was Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is a no-brainer. That no one is like literally on the show. I've not heard his name said until Evan just said it. And I was just going to say that. Kirk Cousins and Ryan Fitzpatrick, believe it or not, Ryan Fitzpatrick is someone I would not blame anybody who wants to start him this week against the Chargers. The defense is good. It's not great. Washington football team defense is great. So Ryan Fitzpatrick this week and Kirk Cousins are two quarterbacks that we're not giving them much love to, that people are sleeping on, not only for this week, but for the season.
So he thinks Mr. T, Savage Mr. T, says, do you think Big Ben's going to have a solid game today? And I think that depends on how you define solid, but what do you have, Hamid? Do you think Big Ben's going to have a solid game today?
If you define solid as a QB1, I'm going to say no. I don't think he's going to finish as a top 12. QB1 for me is top 12 in 12-man leagues. In 10-man leagues, is top 10. But I'm going to go in 12. I don't think he's going to be finishing top 12. I have him ranked QB14 this week. going into this week. He is on the road, I believe, as well against the Bills, who are a very good defense, and they did only allow 23 passing touchdowns last year. That's less than 2 a game. Less than 2 a game. So I don't think he is a solid game. I don't think he's in for a solid game today. So if you have a different option, Savage, I would go with that.
Yeah, I'm staying away from Ben this week. We all know that Big Ben's road home splits are a lot different. He's on the road this week, so he's a totally different quarterback when he's on the road. I'm staying away from Ben.
All right, so for redraft leagues, my advice for week 1, I agree with you guys, but I also think you still have to look at the matchups. Like if you have a quarterback who has a really bad matchup, again, you've drafted someone like Hurts late, I would put Hurts in the lineup because it's week 1. If you lose, you lose, and then you know the stats. I'm not afraid to roll the dice in week 1, although I think I play redraft a little bit crazier than most people do. And then for DFS, I just put people in. For DFS, manage your money. Like everyone wants to win the million, but go ahead and play the million because it's going to be fun, but also get in the 50-50s and the multipliers so you can manage your money. You don't want to blow your whole wad in the first week or the first 2 weeks. So just manage your money. Listen to Evan, where you can find him at EV_RITT3 for DFS advice. Gerson, who is at Fantasy, what is Gerson's? Fantasy GFS or something like that.
DFS, yeah.
And if you guys need stats, if you need like really good stats and you want really good stats to solidify your decisions, go to Hamid. At FF Junkie 85. He has every stat that you're ever going to need, and he will help you win your redraft and your DFS. All right. We thank everyone for joining us on our first week, and it's football, guys. It's football time. Thank you all for coming. Hamid, it is so great to see your face again.
I know. It's great to be back.
It's so great to have you on. Evan, I am very happy that you decided to join us Sunday mornings. Even though you're a Cowboys fan.
It's all good. It's all good. I have one little motto, speaking to I love your take on the bankroll. And one of my little mottos is, if you cash, be sure to stash to make your bankroll last.
Nice. I can't think of a better way to end the show. That's awesome.
There you go. Mic drop right there.
Good luck week 1, guys.
Mic drop. Everyone, good luck. We will see you next Sunday, and I will see you tomorrow. Hamid, when is the Dynasty Gambit?
Every Thursday at 7 o'clock. You can find the Dynasty Gambit where we talk about Dynasty players, Dynasty impacts on a weekly basis going into the season.
And Evan, what do you got for us? Where do people see you or hear you or talk to you?
Goingfor2.com is pretty much where all my work is. I do, betting, DFS, all my articles, but I'm also on a live show every Friday, which is the Friday cheat sheet. The Friday cheat sheet, the fantasy cheat sheet on Fridays. And yeah, hopefully, I'm glad to be here every Sunday hanging out with you guys, hopefully. So yeah, goingfor2.com is where you can find most of everything.
All right. And everyone, good luck today. Have fun. Remember, it's a game. All right. It's a game. Yeah. Play well.
No, it's not. It is not.
It's not. It's fun. We'll see you guys next Sunday. Bye.